Hello everybody and welcome to Total Annihilation Replays. Today, once again from the Vault of EvilScott, I am bringing you yet another game. Now this time on another map that I don't know if we featured on this channel, because it's been a while. This map is very popular for three player free-for-all maps. Games rather. And here we've got my old teacher, the one who instructed me how to TA, Vapor versus EvilScott, this time wearing his proper name and, as always, showing up in yellow. We'll go ahead and get this going here while I talk a little bit about this map. You'll notice the thing about Red Triangle is that it is quite rich in resources. You can see it's got these nice big +2s, and you don't start on the sides. Instead, you actually start in the middle here. So it's not one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I'm not on the side, so I'm gonna go air so that way I can pick up all these rocks. Going air is something that you can do, but it's risky. You can see Scott here, he's going the fast way here with 2 winds and a single metal extractor into a vehicle plant. Vapor doing a more traditional start here. 2 mexes, more winds, looking for a little bit more of a sustained start to the game. Just for, so we can see what's going on here. You can see wind sits, I'm just kind of going to go on memory. Title's fantastic at 25. Wind, I think, generally is mid here. It's good. It's more efficient than solar, but it runs like 9 to 15, I want to say. Or maybe it gets up in the 20s. Oh, no, never mind. Plus 30. Yeah, so you can run off of a small amount of winds and titles. Now you can see here, there's these islands out on the side. Rich in rocks, resources, a lot easier to defend, especially if Pels haven't come into play yet. And oftentimes an OTA, that wouldn't have happened. It generally didn't happen if there was a way to do battle over land. Both players are vehicle first. Scott, despite building the really early plant right there, you can see he's really short on metal. He got a con out early, but Vapor is not too far behind him at this point, and he's actually got a little bit more metal in the bank to spend. So you can see Scott went with his commander, grabbed this rock, and sending his con out, not to build mexes, missile towers, or anything like that, but to reclaim the rocks first. And that is the correct course of action on this. He needs to refill that metal bar, and he needs to pump out as many units as possible if he wants to try and push Vapor off of the island. Oftentimes, whoever would win this fight on the island would win the game. And if you had to retreat to the sea, it meant that you were really, really, really on your back foot. Vapor's got his radar in the middle there. Scott with his radar too. You can see Vapor's still got more resource production going on. This is not an even starting location too, of course, with all OTA maps. That's something that is kind of something you gotta get used to. It's generally considered balanced, but you can see, like as in balanced enough to play, but not balanced enough that this would be something you'd really want to pick in a tournament. You can see Scott down here, he's on 2 of the 1.2s and a 2.3 versus Vapor on 2 2s and a 1.2 right there. Scott going for the surround. You can see he's moving into this rock field right here. Vapor 3 cons out. Scott with just the 1. See, in comes the Jeffy at this point. So Scott's going really heavy on vehicles, and he's planning on pushing Vapor off. 4 cons at this point. That's quite risky. But that'll pay off if he can keep them all alive. 5th con from Vapor. I do not know what's going on here. He's got a single missile tower, and he's going to try and battle off 2 flashes. Defending now with Dragon's Teeth. I would be stunned if he pulled this off. More missile towers up. Oh, Scott. Oh my. now the wreck is blocking it. Nice job by Vapor right here. He's repaired the damaged construction vehicle, and he is using all of his time on this, though. He flips over here, deguns. This con is now vulnerable, but the flash drops. 0 cons killed. 5, very, very greedy 5 cons from Vapor. Scott, you can see by building all those construction units how many units Scott is ahead at this point. So tons of flashes still not a safe position for Vapor, although he's working on this just forest of missile towers. And he's going Samsons too. There we go, more resources being taken down. Vapor is short on energy at this point. He's now lasering with his commander. And if Scott can't get, there you go, Scott gets one of the cons. The thing is, Scott does need to kill these construction units. Vapor gets Z back up just in time. Degun that one. I'm counting 4 cons of the 5 that are still alive. Still rushing in very hard from Scott at this point. And Vapor just doing a great job defending against this rush. He managed to only drop one of his construction units. And now he's got all these wrecks to clean up. So I'd say that was definitely advantage Vapor at this point. Scott did not get what he needed out of that. Scott now has 1, 2, 3, 4 cons of his own, so the number of construction units is even. Vapor rebuilding his energy. Still putting up more missile towers, playing quite defensively. Scott doesn't have nearly as much as far as defenses go. Scott getting out here reclaiming these rocks. Vapor has really yet to touch his rock piles. Unusual for Vapor here. Lots of missile towers. I think he's probably expecting more aggression from Scott. And you can see he has it here. 5 Samsons versus this. As long as Vapor micros these correctly, he should be able to get out of here without losing anything. No, this little shrub pushed that Samson a little too close. But he manages to sneak away, do lots of damage to the flashes. Scott drops 1, doesn't get anything in return. Even on resources. Scott's expansion, you can see it looks like he's got much more of the island, although Vapor's got these Samsons kind of in the middle. That gives him a decent area of control as long as he keeps his radar up. More flashes there. Yeah, I don't necessarily like all this metal invested into the MTs, but if Scott sends these flashes into them, it'll suddenly look great. It's the Coolnick style of acquiring resources. Although this game is from 2003, so this was, I believe, before Nick even played. Back when being a TA champion was just a dream in the eyes of young Nicholas of Australia. There you go. I like this move by Vapor. He's taken to the sea. Scott's going all land at this point. He's had the opportunity to move in there and take a step out into the water, but he hasn't done it. Now the shipyard is going to be a little cheaper. Not a little cheaper. It's significantly cheaper than actually going air. Air would be really nice, considering you'd be able to get out here and grab all these rocks without any risk of losing that. And that's something that Vapor's condition here, considering how defensive he is, would actually be pretty good. Samsons versus Flash. He doesn't have any radar out here, so this fight certainly looks like it's going to go EvilScott's way. Vapor, good move right there. The thing is, whenever your Samsons or Slashers start getting overrun by flashes, the first thing you do is you move them away from the flashes. Scott had the radar up here. He had the information. Information is ammunition. See, he's split up. It's okay to do what Vapor did there. You can see how we split one group out here and sent others this way. Because oftentimes somebody will actually send all of their flashes after a single group, and then half of them can get away. But here you can see Vapor's lost his army. Nice little ambush by Scott, and he now controls this lane up to the left side. Vapor's just now going up and getting these rocks. You can see Scott now ahead at 1,000 metal, primarily because he's been picking up his rocks, picking up the mess. This Khan is at risk here. Let's see if he's still sitting on the same original 4 he built. He's got 5 again. Actually 6. Commander goes, gets those. This commander will protect this north side, and the missile towers will cover the south. Not a good move by Scott here. So this move by Vapor, he's actually just protecting the top side from these flashes. That's what he's mostly worried about. He has more than enough to deal with this small incursions into his base. Shipyard's done, not doing anything yet. There you go, that's some nice resources there for Vapor to pick up. Again, really, the way he used the Dragon's Teeth here to protect his cons was quite remarkable. You can see that's definitely paying dividends. Radar, radar, radar. He's got 2 cons up here. He does have the commander. This will be huge for Vapor if we manage to get all these guys. All but 1. Nice job by Vapor. That's a nice little swing for him right there. That was nearly, what was that, 7 flashes? So we're talking, 600 metal worth of flashes just degunned. Missile towers, he only gets a mechs for, what was it, 8 flashes. Certainly not a worthwhile exchange. It's got to continue to expand. Vapor just kind of really turtled up in this corner here. This is a very common thing. You can see the missile towers shooting each other over the Dragon's Teeth. Scott's sending his guys in right in the maw of death that Vapor has created. Not a good choice. We'll move the speed just a little bit here. This game is being played at normal speed. I know in a previous game I mentioned that Scott did like to mess around with different game speeds, but as far as I can tell, this one is played at normal speed. This con got a little too... Oh, there we go. It's still go down here the moment Scott sees it. Yep, there it goes. Down goes that con. Vapor's lost a second one up here. And now he's building the C. And that is where your energy should come from, considering this nice plus 25. If you go C, that's something that you need to do. Scott trying to push in right here. These Dragon Teeth, all these wreckage, and all the missile towers makes that quite difficult for him to do, even though as small and nimble as the flash tanks are. Idle Con, Idle Commander, Vapor most likely busy down here. I wonder if... There we go. You can see what they're looking at on the top left here. Actually, I don't know if it translates to the mega map. It does not. You gotta remember that these guys are playing before the existence of a mega map, which does make radar targeting a lot easier. So they're actually having to go up and just to radar target, click on these tiny little dots up here. And that was something I got pretty good at, being a core player and dealing mostly with missile units. You can see Vapor doing it right here. He's going to take down that defender. Flash is coming in. All he's got to do here is turn around. He's busy paying attention to this. Protecting the con is a little more important than protecting your Samsons. Vapor going up to the corner to build rows and rows of energy. Kind of from the beginning, it seems like his plan was to just plain outbuild the aggressive Scott, and that seems to be working out for him. Scott's gone ahead and collected this wreck field up in the top left. Nice little move by Vapor, swings and cleans Scott out of the... It should clean him out of this corner down here. Yep. Scott sending all his stuff in here into the Maw of Death has resulted in him being a little bit short in units, Vapor being much more conservative with his units. Looks like the Khan's going to get away. That's a good use to sacrifice flashes like that to get a construction unit away. Always worth doing. Sending these guys in, yeah, there you go. Scott catches them, moves them back. Scott has now gone air. And you might be wondering, why on earth is Scott just building these mexes instead of reclaiming those rocks? Doesn't he need the metal? Chances are, if I had to try and peek into his brain nearly 20 years ago, I would say that he's trying to not give away that he has gone air. So you can see, of course, there's these right here indicate that something has been reclaimed. He doesn't want Vapor to know that he's got air and that he's reclaiming. You can see Vapor's screen right there. He was just checking the islands to see if anything, so you can see he's doing that right there, to see if anything has actually disappeared from them. Because if he sees that, then he knows that Scott's gone air, and that's something that's worthwhile knowing too, just from a, you know, oh, he just invested 800 metal worth of resources. If we were even, if all else even is on the land, then that means I've got 800 metal more worth of stuff that I can fight with him on the land, or I can also invest the same amount in air and going air myself. So Scott's gone air without Vapor knowing, and Vapor has gone sea without Scott knowing. Still trying to fight over this corner. This is a really big rock field right here. It's worth fighting over. Scott's trying to control it. Vapor's just going, building. He's not hooking. Actually, I don't know if they would have, I don't know if this will actually let me know. No. Which version of the recorder they're on. I didn't see EHA get turned off on this one, but you can see Vapor, he's just clicking madly, building titles. And see, you can see he's got some metal makers, he's converting that energy. Vapor just now finally building some flashes. I think if he had gone a few more a little earlier, he would have it would have helped him out. It's always good to have, I think, to have some flashes spotting for your Samsons or slashers as arm in OTA. I wouldn't do that very much as core, just because instigators were not very good at all, but every now and then I would. Vapor going in, trying to put some pressure on the other side. Scott's been committing all in on trying to push Vapor out of this really entrenched position right here. And Vapor's going to take advantage of that and sweep in all this undefended metal. These guys going out. You can see one of the things that's really good to do is when in the fog of war, you see the missiles coming from somewhere. And so you know that, okay, there's missile towers, and oftentimes where there are missile towers, there's a con. So Vapor is sniffing out this con using the missile tower locations. Nice job by him. He managed to bag that. This raid comes through, has gotten all these mexes. Scott just sloppily here kind of control-Zing. Although I think that'll kind of help him out a little bit, because now he'll have finally consolidated his forces. Nice raid by Vapor. Now taking a look at the position on the map, you can see, having cleaned Scott out of here, they're both kind of occupying a third of the island with a nice no man's land in the middle. Now using his Samsons on the other side of the map to put more pressure. Oh yeah, they've got markers here. So I don't know why Vapor's not using hook. Air and vehicle. So now Vapor knows that Scott's air. Of course, there's no reason for Scott to hide the fact anymore, so he can go and try and reclaim. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factories here from Scott. 7 to Vapor's 1, 2, 3. So the only reason why it looks like there's a similar number of units at this point is because you got to remember this is going on out here. Vapor trying to use the sea to patrol Scott and his air. As to why Vapor is not using TA Hook to get the nice, neat rows of titles, I probably have to ask him. A lot of players back in 2003 felt that hooking was just, you know, that you were unskilled or something along that. I know Vapor doesn't actually feel that way. He never discouraged hook use, but it could be that they decided that they weren't going to use it for this game. Again, Scott's just trying to cut right through the middle here. He consolidated that big force. He's got significantly more ground vehicle production. And now his resource, you can see when you double up cons like this, they actually do a pretty good job of expanding and taking mexes. He's got a single one here, so you can see how much slower that one's moving. Of course, half as slow. Nice battle here. So Vapor got that nice raid in, but now Scott's returning the favor, having consolidated his guys, and now he's completely pushing in and has sliced Vapor right down the middle here. This is what he was looking to do with his all-in ground push. Vapor trying to keep Scott out of the sea. There's a lot going on here. Vapor sending his own guys down. Finally, he's able to break into this empty forest, not by coming up through the bottom like he's been trying the whole time, but by coming through over the top of it where the MTs and the wrecks are not. And Vapor is just absolutely torn up here. Scott's got a hefty lead here, now 6,000 metal. But Vapor has pushed Scott out of the sea. Scott's his return to the land here. It looks like he's going to fully commit, trying to drive Vapor off of the main island. Don't know why Scott's just leaving that alive. It's not too hard to just, grab your units and one flash or two flash and just finish that off. But it will remain. Vapor's built a heavy laser tower. Looks like he's planning on trying to hold this tip of the island. Scott still doesn't have a presence over here. Lots of E being produced. You can see Vapor at 1,400 energy to Scott's 500. Scott has reclaimed his air, and you can see now he's going advanced air. Most likely going for Hawks. Vapor doing some degunning here. This is a pretty deadly force. Scott says GG, Vapor degunning. So see, this is amazing degunning by Vapor right there. He manages to keep his comm in good shape. Still only half health. That was just an absolute waste of an army by Scott. When you're going to try and kill a commander with flashes, you have to come in from multiple angles. You can't just all come. For one, he had this HLT backing him up, and he just came straight up from the same angle. That's just lining up bowling pins right there, lining up the dominoes. The Vapor knocks him down and manages to stay alive. He survived Scott's GG. Now you can see this. He's getting his metal maker and resources on the water. Scott knows that he's there. It's just a matter of whether or not he can figure out that Vapor is doing that. Lots for Vapor to reclaim. He desperately needs more construction units. This wreck field hasn't been claimed by either, although because Scott left this factory alive, you can see there's now some units obstructing any of Scott's comms from going and doing that. Scott kind of neglecting his building here on the bottom right, again neglecting this wreck field too. He does have air cons that could easily go and grab that sort of thing. Advanced air is now up from Scott. And Vapor is building a nice little ball of units to defend himself with. Scott grabs a con there, and I'm curious how busy is Vapor's commander. 31 kills busy. If he just takes one step that way, he can get that whole ball of flashes. He probably sees it on the radar there. Vapor, 26 metal. Scott is low on energy. Again, that's the disadvantage of not having the sea. Scott's going straight to Hawks, and he just really doesn't have the energy for it at this point. Now, of course, we know everything, so we know that there's titles in every corner. But, of course, a brawler or two would work miracles for what Scott needs to do to win this game. Commander taking the high ground, slinging more D-gun. Okay, if he goes up here, this is just a nice little pack of flashes, very easy to take out. Drives them into the heavy laser tower. Vapor going back to cons. See, he's got him on patrol. I actually like that move right there, because then any aircon that tries to sneak through is liable to get knocked down. Don't like that move by Scott. That kind of tips your hand too early. It lets him know that you've got advanced air, and that is a significant investment. So if there's only a single Hawk there, then Vapors know he's got a little time before that builds up, so he can do things like protect his resources with some anti-air if he needs to. Something is to be said for, you know, holding your cards close to your chest, not sending, you know, using a true, you know, lean style, I guess, if you want to go with the you know, industry stuff, where you just send everything you have in and you try to not keep anything in inventory. Holding something back that would reveal information about your position, I think is pretty worthwhile. Vapor, he's got a nice little defensive nest bit up here. This is going to be more than enough anti-air to deal with those, and a pair of laser towers. This commander is a little naked out here, considering that there are Hawks in play. Because oftentimes when you see one, there's usually more not too far behind it. Vapor building up. This will actually help him secure this, too, building up missile towers along the shore. They also can shoot a little higher. They're mounted higher above the water than the skeets are, so they're actually going to be able to pour some fire onto land. So I think these were hooked, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Is that, well, maybe not. Maybe he's clicking them one at a time. Scott's keeping his cons busy. This is a great game. Advantage, I think, is still the Scott on this one. Yep, the deficit is only increased for Vapor. Commander busy just quickly sucking up all this metal. This factory is not going to survive this. Doesn't quite have the defenses over there yet. Commander's not too far. He's trying to go air. This is probably what that D-gun sound might be what Scott's waiting for. He's got 5, 6 Hawks. Not enough to really to finish the job. But he comes in anyway. He's going to go for it. Watch the health here. Nice nano block. Scott tries to send it the units right here. Vapor down to 25%. Down into the red. The Hawks are still going. Nano block by Vapor. Still in the red. Laser tower finishes out. There's too many missile towers here. Those Hawks have to back off or he loses them. Wow. Nice moves by Vapor there. Really hanging on, just trying to keep this little fortified position and just hold a small amount of space on the main island. Plenty of resources in the sea, though. So he's basically got what you can without going advanced. If you really want to crank Hawks, you need the Farks. 1, 2, 3 heavy laser towers. This is a really tough to eliminate position. Sentinel, this one right here with 11, the rest are only, the other 2 are sitting on 1. He's repairing his comm at this point, which he needs to do considering how much the type of war he's been waging. Here you go, you can see the missile towers coming into play, taking out Scott's con at that point. Vapor C, I think maybe he saw that there. Scott's trying to get wet. Using Stumpies. Stumpies are not that great, but they are tanky and they can shoot over wrecks. So there are some occasions that call for them. I don't know if this is one. Light laser tower, heavy laser towers. You can see Scott's built some heavy laser towers of his own over here. Try and control the turret he's got. He's taken the Geo over there too. Got the Hawks near the front. At this point, if he wants to do that, you know, that's not really too big of an information reveal. Even that light laser tower is getting some work. Vapor continuing to build just a ridiculous amount of resources on the top. At this point, I think he may have finally eclipsed Scott's production, even though Scott's got the 2 islands and the majority of the main one. That's just the power of the, the plus 25 titles. Deficit continuing to go in Scott's favor, though, so I don't think he's actually quite caught up yet. Scott's got his own skeets. This is something that's actually could be very dangerous for Vapor if he's not able to clear Scott out of the water. Going to Guardian, going to try and control the territory, and that will take this wreck field for Vapor. Certainly worthwhile for him. Vapor once again trying to go air. See these naval missile towers coming into play, protecting this little island here. Vapor doesn't have enough to drive Scott out of the water. And he's still going more cons. This is just going to end up being a nice little lump of metal for Vapor to reclaim. But the pressure prevents him from building in there. You can see he's once again abandoned the air project. Oh, there we go. Nope, looks like Vapor did actually have enough skeets overall. And now he's able to kind of camp the shipyard until he realizes what's going on. There you go, he now sees it. You can see his map is over it. He's going to go ahead and shoot the corner, which is how you take out a shipyard. Using skeets, you just got to force fire the corner of the map. See this, he's hosing out a torpedo launcher here. Gets it up, now the commander can guard this, and that will actually make it so that he can protect his investment down there. The Sentinel doesn't have missile towers or many dragon seats to really protect it. The Guardian has open fire, and Scott's Hawk Swarm is getting a little more deadly. Scott has his own Guardian up here, and this is enough to cause some serious concern for Vapor. You can see how fast those missile towers can tear down the Hawks if you don't have too many of them. I believe these two are in range, so once Vapor realizes that he's being shot at, he'll most likely go to try and find that Guardian and take it out. There he goes, he sends his flash-ins in, he sees them both. Vapor has a con to support his, and Scott does not. So when the first shot goes to Vapor, you can see there's no con anywhere near this, so that Guardian's going to go down, and Vapor will be able to protect his territory here. Once again, trying to use the Hawks to try and find an opening, but just too much air defense. This, though, no air defense. Here you go, Vapor finally hooked some titles. Just titles absolutely everywhere, clicking like a madman. Scott building up a navy now. See the Guardian just doing work here, really protecting the territory. Vapor's got lots of resources now, and now showing plus 100 on his side from all of his metal makers that he's got going. And I don't know if, it might be that Scott doesn't know. And this is one of those things that you just kind of have to intuit, that you're like, there's no way with just this small piece of rock that he's got that he's able to produce as much as he can. Vapor says F that. I don't know what about. Maybe about the skeets coming in and the Hawks harassing him here on this side. But that's just not enough Hawks against this many missile towers. You can see how fast they go down. Vapor building another Guardian at this point. You can see finally the deficit going the other way. Vapor at 93,000 to Scott's 96. He is outproducing Scott and has really turned this around. Just barely hanging on here to the point now where he is the economic powerhouse. And this is, the Crusaders have about the same range as a missile tower. So there's nothing that this is going to do against all this. That's just feeding him, and especially if you're going to come in the range of Sentinel. You can see how fast that Crusader just gets absolutely evaporated. Too much impatience from Scott here. He's rallying his units within range of the Guardian, and so the Guardian's just having a field day. Vapor's own units are now going in. Scott not nearly as turtled up. Let's see now, 1, 2, 3, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 factories. Vapor finally air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Scott's still in the same number of factories he had not too long ago. Vapor sees the Geo, he wants to take it out. Well, maybe not, because he's not clicked on it. Guard creeping now. Scott never moved in to take this, to take those rocks. That's something that I certainly would have considered. Vapor now going advanced shipyard, and he'll be able to go with for Colossi, I believe, which are the aircraft carriers. They're going to produce a ton of energy for him. Vapor trying to set up kind of the same defensive situation over here. He wasn't able to do it, but these naval missile towers here are going to more than protect his investment over there. Vapor sees the sub coming in. Of course, that's a problem. You might be wondering why the sub isn't shooting any further, because that is it's actually less line of sight than that. Now it's Vapor's turn here. He's got the upper hand as far as resources go, and the question is, can he turn this into a win? Scott's still sitting on a single advanced air plant, nothing else advanced to really help him move that along. He's got a little navy up. He wants to come in and try and just chip away at this, as there's less air defense in this corner here. But this is all waiting for him. So, rockets and flashes, an excellent choice when you're trying to break open a base. The sub problem was solved with a hasty torpedo launcher. The Guardians are getting closer. Good use of radar by Vapor there, of course. That's how he's able to see and shoot those things. He doesn't have line of sight there, but he's just busily grabbing his Guardian and clicking on anything that's in range. You can actually even click on things that are out of range, and then when they move into range, your Guardian will open fire on them. Scouting by Scott. Vapor's commander has been found. He does not have enough to actually get a snipe here and win this. Much more well-organized Navy coming in at this point. And now he's trying to take out these factories. See, he's avoiding this little nest down here. Vapor himself is now moving in to the advanced air territory. Vapor pushing in now is into Scott's start position. Scott's little Crusader raid on the top side here cleans out a lot of anti-air, but still doesn't find what it needs to do, and that is to wipe out all of the titles on the top of the map. Although something appears to be missing there. Maybe that's what Vapor was saying, F that too. So unit limit. Yeah, max said was 500 of this, so Vapor actually hit unit limit. That's one of the reasons why he's now gone Colossus. That's why he self-destructed these the titles that he had in the top left. Great job by Vapor. He has now pushed into Scott's starting position, is taking out Scott's production. Scott's resources have only started plummeting at this point because he was relying on the territory that he held that he no longer holds. You see Scott almost, 1/5 maybe of the quarter of the energy that the Vapor's producing. See Vapor actually stopping some flashes, taking time to actually finish off and kill these vehicle factories. Scott's commander is now here with not nearly as many kills as the veteran Vapor commander, although now he goes in to do battle. Just shooting lasers though. Scott manages to find a con and some titles, but now Vapor's already got these, and if Scott can find those and take them out, that would certainly be a boon for him. As you can see, Vapor himself, he's getting his own navy moving. He's just that far ahead on resources. It's now Scott's turn to be battling from a tiny island. He's now developed this over here. You can see he's actually got an advanced K-bot lab on the island. And that actually is not a bad call if you control an island and it's safe. Get your advanced air production going over there, and then also you can produce PELs with your advanced factory. The weakened Crusaders, they were too busy battling missile towers before. That shot right there will sink it, and Scott's naval raid is finished. Massive, just defensive fortress here from Vapor. Awfully claustrophobic in there. You see Vapor's production has taken a hit because of Scott's little raid there. Managed to take out a whole bunch of his metal makers. But he's still got all the energy that he could possibly want, so all he's got to do is turn those, get those going again. Well, there goes a dead con. See, he's also got the Farks here. He's going to be able to produce many more Hawks than Scott's just small little production here. Scott really just not investing into the sea. Tons of metal to reclaim. He's stalling on metal. He has an aircon down here. It's one of those things. Grab that guy, get up there, just have him start picking up metal. You can see Vapor's got a guy on patrol over here. He's taking advantage of the wreck fields that he controls. Yeah, if you don't have time, you're busy clicking, just come in, you do a short little patrol so that away from any damaged units, and then it'll clean up the metal that's in here, and then you can do another short little patrol over here if you want to stop them from repairing things. There are ways to get around the repair priority if you need to do that. The only downside is if a damaged unit passes through that patrol range, then the aircon will start following it around, trying to fix it until it comes to a stop, and it can't actually repair it, and then it will return to the patrol position that you gave it. Vapor's got an army coming in. Scott's army is not in the right spot. Scott gets mad and D-guns his own things at this point. I think we can call that a surrender. Very good game, guys. I love Scott's aggression here, just really pushing up and trying to win it on the ground really early. Vapor's tenacity too, battling with those cons in the early from the early part of the game. That's you can see, like, you know, you don't give up. Don't give up easily. Here you go. Scott's army's gone. He's busy degunning his own wrecks. We'll go ahead and speed this up here. There we go. So yeah, we'll hit the total here. We can take a look at the end resources. 170,000 metal from Vapor, 134 from Scott. Final kills, Vapor 852, Scott 630. So great game, guys. Of course, if you haven't already subscribed to Total Annihilation Replays, considering my upload schedule has been a little bit less than reliable lately. Of course, having the subscribe and notification on is a good way to make sure that when I do provide high-quality Total Annihilation content, you are one of the first to know, and you can be here and experience the wonder that is OTA, Pro-TA, and Escalation. which are the things that we do on this channel. So I've also got some other things coming up that I hope to do. We're gonna take a peek. I know it's all the rage, and yes, I have heard about Bar. I don't think I'll actually be playing it, but I would certainly want to take a look at, talk to some of the creators of it and see just how Total Annihilation inspired what they did. So hopefully we can try and work those things out. My summer schedule is always very, very busy. So when I can sneak these in, I'll try, especially even with my a little bit jankier audio here. So we have Scott coming in for the. You can see Vapor's got him surrounded. He's got rockers. He's got missile units in there to help support it out. Scott's not going to get out of that one right there. So fantastic game from both players. Really, really enjoyable watch. So thanks to EvilScott for providing some classic games from his vault here. This one coming all the way from 10 years ago in 2003. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that one, and I'll catch you all I'll catch everyone around. All right, everyone, y'all.